Okay, we'll assume everyone can hear us then. And we've had three questions presented this evening. Thanks for being on the call. And I'm also pretty lucky. I called in a few chips with a few friends of mine, which is, of course, Steve Plummer and Pete Godfrey. Pete's given up watching some of his beloved football side tonight just for us. So thanks to Pete and thanks to Steve for being on the webinar with us. And I will throw to them at some point in time. First and foremost, what I'll do is I'll handle the actual questions. And we've actually got them on the PowerPoint here so you can actually see them for yourself. Okay, so question one. This has come from Irene, and it's, I'm thinking of doing a webinar on a topic in my chosen profession and wanted to know, do I have to purchase one of Steve S's programs to help me with it, or are you able to give me, guide me through that? Or if you think I need to work with Steve and his team on this, will I be able to get a better price since I've got his info from this, your package in the cash machine? I believe his program costs approximately $3,000, and that's about true. Jace, can you come back in, please? I might want to talk to Irene if she's here. Irene, Steve would want me to say yes by his program. And the real answer is it could be either. So there's more to this question than meets the eye. But if I had to give you an answer right here and now, the answer is, well, I know enough about webinars to help you. I've simply done probably the largest webinar ever held in Australian history. That was the promotion of Harry S. Dent, where over 5,000 people, just over 5,000 people signed up to attend that webinar. And it was done through a launch process. Launch process is you build up the anticipation, and then finally they can go on a webinar to hear what you or Harry has to say. 5,000 people said they were going to attend, and I just got just over 3,000 people attended this one webinar just in Australia. Now overnight, to a $100 event to come to, I think we had over 6 or 7, maybe 800 people signed up to attend those events. So they were held in 3 states of Australia. So that was all from a webinar where we got the expert Harry onto the webinar, and ultimately we were able to fill that event very quickly. It's nice to kick off on your very first day with, 6, 7, 800 people already signed up, and that's the way it goes. But none of that happens by accident. Now, Steve and I also worked with a client of mine where they wanted to increase the number of sales they made, which was for investment properties, and we probably did the biggest webinar of its kind, in as much that they sold $5 million worth of property on a webinar. And if you talk to people that sell investment properties and people that sell houses, they'll tell you they don't use webinars. So the big trick, of course, is to have a list that you can go to, or someone else's list for that matter, because that 5,000 that I went to or was able to create didn't all come from my own list. It was joint ventures with people like Steve and Pete that are on the call with us. And so, you don't really need Steve to do that. I've created many webinar presentations and helped many clients create those presentations. And if you want to know what they look like, it's exactly the same as selling one-on-one and one-to-many that I share in Cash Machine. It's exactly the same formula. So, Steve uses the same formula, I use the same formula. It doesn't matter whether it's on a webinar, or whether you're face-to-face or in fact selling to many in a room. It's exactly the same thing. That's all a webinar is it's selling to a room full of people, except it's on the internet and it's electronic. So the bottom line is, no, you don't. But however, Steve offers some things that I don't offer in this program where webinars are concerned, and that is he actually promises to go to his list and launch your product or whatever it might be. I would have asked her a few more questions in order to answer it properly. But the bottom line is probably not. Certainly book a call with me and then I can really determine exactly what you need to do. Remember, that's part of the program where you get some time to talk to me. An hour at a time is the best thing I recommend, and maybe we can take it from there. Look, I can ask Steve for a price for you. All he can say is yes or no, and there's certainly no harm in asking for a deal. He's very commercial and he's a good guy, and chances are he'd do something for me at least. So I'll move on to the next question. Question 2. This is from John Hallaby. I can talk for hours on any topic. I'm passionate about it, and that's great. I can sell anything I'm passionate about, and I have plenty to offer in the world of social media marketing, Facebook marketing, and mindset. And heck, you've been through a few things over the last 21 years, like most of us, that's for sure. And that's good because that becomes your origin story, which is very important. And I might ask Steve and Pete to share with you in a moment what their origin stories are, because we want to have an origin story. Now, the good news is for John is that he's also generated over $300 million in leads for real estate agents. So I have some concept of what John does. I know people who use John's services. They're real estate agents, and John does lead generation in social media for them in their geographical area and gets them leads based on some form of valuing their property. I won't go into any more detail other than that, but John's been enormously successful. So that's a great story. So how do I choose what I should be talking about and then create the content to sell? If this is something that you will be creating, that's okay, we'll deal with it later. So the bottom line is, John, you have what all of us would want when it comes to creating an information product, and that is it's an opportunity to make money product. So you help, why you've been so successful is you've filled that one need that the real estate agents are absolutely clueless about, and that's lead generation, in this case online. And you've been able to help them do that. You've isolated to the geographical area they operate from, and they've been happy to pay you. And that's because the greatest product on the planet that Steve and Pete have heard me say many times before, but most people don't know about, is the opportunity to make money. Now, you also talk about mindset here, and that would be the least of our choices. That's what's called soft product. Success in social media, success on Facebook, your success, finding money for real estate agents is a hard product, and that's why they're happy to spend money with you. The further away you get from hard product, that is measurable against for money, the harder it is to succeed. Now, it's not beyond comprehension. You can most definitely succeed with soft product. But if Steve and Pete had a choice, I can tell you they would work with clients and only work themselves with products that fitted my criteria of the opportunity to make money. It is the best product you can ever possibly sell, but understand it can still work for soft product, but it's not as simple to do. Now, you've got opportunity on top of opportunity here. You've talked in general about social media and how you've mastered that, and you've also talked about Facebook, which you've also mastered. I know that for a fact. I promise you there are lots and lots of people that would love to know how to do what you do. These are business owners and people who want to make money, who want to be more successful in their business, probably lead generation on those media that you've mastered, who would happily pay you if you created a course teaching people how to get all the leads they ever wanted, and people begging to spend money with them by marketing on Facebook. That would happen. It would also happen through the other social medias. We have a client that in the past, well, at least at present, but I don't coach her at the moment. She was with me for many years. and she teaches people how to be successful on LinkedIn. That's Julie Mason. So Julie Mason makes about 25, 30K a month from home on LinkedIn, teaching people how to use LinkedIn. So it's a bit of a dream come true. So she's enjoying that internet life, if you like, working from home, making some very good money. The margins are excellent. Her product, I think, is about $5,000, teaching people how to do that. You also have succeeded where helping real estate agents is concerned. So again, that is a hard product. So you've got a number of opportunities here. When choosing the opportunity, you always go for the low-hanging fruit, the thing that is the most easiest to succeed at. I'm not going to guess it. For Julie, it was LinkedIn. For you, it might be Facebook. The world seems to be most interested in Facebook, so that's where I'd be probably spending most of my time. Pete and Steve, did you want to add something in relation to this? Because soft and hard is very important to you guys. Would you like to share something with the guys listening? Pete, do you want to go first?
Yeah, Mel, you know, mate, I've been selling information since the late 90s and quite successfully. And you know, I've always had products where, you know, you put other people in the money-making business, as you said. Now, from my humble beginnings, back in the late 90s, I was just selling a little course on how to make money at flea markets. And to the certain crowd, they snapped that up. The big thing, the big lesson I learned all those years ago was making the right offer by having something that they really want, and you can give them an end result benefit straight away. So the people I was targeting, mate, they were low-end BizOp buyers. They didn't want to invest in real estate or become millionaires. They just wanted to make extra money on the weekend. And that's the exact message I took to them. So it's, as you know, mate, it's all about getting the right message to the right market and then making sure that you give them an irresistible offer to sell them. But once again, Mal, my friend, you are correct. You know, you sell a hard product, try to keep away from the soft feel-good stuff with no real tangible money benefits.
Yeah. Now, Pete, you've touched on some very interesting points, and I suppose, offer is one of them. You've often heard me say, Pete, and so has Steve, that, I build the offer first to a market. There's lots of ways to skin this cat, of course, but I build the offer, and that way that's, completely congruent with the market I'm wanting to sell to, and then it pretty much writes the rest of the copy. You guys are both copywriters. I wonder how you go about it, Steve. Sorry, Pete. How do you go about it?
Well, mate, yeah, I've got a seven-step process that I go through, but making the offer is has to be very, very clear in my head, you know, and that's all about getting the big idea and stuff like that. But your offer, you know, the big lesson I got all those years ago was the closest I could get it to done for them, the
Mm.
more money I could charge. Now, I'll give you a quick example, and I've used this time and time again to create products for myself and for other people to help my clients develop products. But as I said, I was selling to the low-end BizOp how to make money at markets, and I was selling a manual, basically told them how to do it, and I listed all these buyers where they could buy products from. However, when I changed the offer to include actual products they could actually sell in with that pack, even though I told them exactly where they could buy these products, because that got it so close to done for you and they actually had the products to sell straight away, I nearly tripled my response rate, my sales to that mail by making that change to my offer. Okay, and I could justifiably say, you know, if the course was actually free because I was giving them $250 worth of products to sell.
Yeah.
And hopefully that makes sense to everyone on this call. The closest you can get to doing it for them, the more money that you can make, and so I work very, very hard on the offer and on the bonuses, and I think to myself, what do they really, really crave? Okay. Now, you did the same thing all those years ago with the gold pack, Mal. The bonus that you put in the deluxe pack was the thing they actually craved, and that was the products to sell.
Yeah.
Hey.
Absolutely perfect, Pete. And I'm so glad you sort of raised that thought because it goes right back to the offer, of course, and it's also what I call the big idea. And it's also the question you might ask yourself is, what will make them desperate to buy this product? What one thing could I put in here? What five things that I could put in here? What would it be? And that they'd be so keen to purchase immediately without even thinking about it. Now, you remember years ago when I bought, I think it was 300 tickets to Hawaii, and they cost me, I think, $600 each, was it? And essentially, when you signed up to come to my seminar, which was $2,995, I think, to attend, you got 2 free tickets to Hawaii that most days they return tickets, most days when you bought those tickets, they were anywhere between $1,800 each, or if they were on special for 5 minutes, they might have been $1,000 or just under. So whatever way you looked at that, it was a fantastic offer. So people came to a seminar they didn't want to come to necessarily, all because they wanted to get their tickets to Hawaii. So how can I make a sale when a sale doesn't even exist? And that's pretty much what Pete explained to you there, how he made, and here's the languaging for that. It's called making your bonus your product. So they really wanted Pete's bonus of all that product or whatever it was to sell. In my case, they really wanted to go to Hawaii, and they came along to a seminar as a byproduct. Now you might say to me, well, hang on, Mel, why did you do that? It's because it's about psychology and mathematics. The mathematics was I didn't pay for the trips to Hawaii. The people did, the clients did. They actually paid for it. I think I am still to this day, I think on that occasion, the biggest single client that Hawaiian Air's ever had. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I suspect it's still pretty accurate. Someone told me way back then that was the case, and it might still be the case. But either way, it's a lot of tickets to Hawaii. And of course, the upside of that is they did come to the seminar, and then my psychology was so good at that event that we made lots of sales and sold people some great products that changed their lives. So everyone wins. So hopefully you listened to Pete and understood that. He talked about done for you, which is getting as close to it in their hands as you can possibly get. The thing they want more than anything. So they're the questions you need to ask yourself. What is it do they want above everything else, and how can I make that offer? And make it a bonus if you like, because they buy the bonus. So Steve, did you want to share some of your thoughts based on our conversation so far?
Yeah, absolutely, Mel, and hi everyone. Look, I actually want to go back one step if I can, Mel,
Go ahead, mate.
and just address John's question a little bit. The second part of his question is, so how do I choose what I should be talking about, then create the content? I actually think you need to go back one step and think of, well, who is it? And the who is always more important than the what. As soon as you figure out the who they are, um, then you can work out what their pain points are, and then you can craft an offer. And I agree with both you and Pete. Writing that offer first is a huge source of clarity in when you're marketing whatever that you're marketing. But you really do need to figure out that who is and what their pain points are. And then once you've done that, it is a lot easier to then decide what it is you're going to sell. A lot of people come at it from the other way. Now, I've got this to sell, I'll just get it out there, and that usually doesn't work so well. So always start with the who, and please write that down. The who is more important than the what. So who you're targeting, and then you can figure out what it is that are those pain points, like Peter Mel suggested, and then you can make your offer. But when I first started in copy, Mel, I wrote a lot of headlines first. One of my early mentors suggested that was a good tactic to use, and it was a good tactic to use. And then one day I did hear you say, very much the way you said it now, that I start with the offer first. And I thought to myself, well, why does he do that? I've heard this guy say that you should do headlines first, and I thought, oh, well, give it a go. And from that moment, every single promotion I've ever written has started with the offer first. It just gives you so much focus and so much clarity. So they're probably a couple of things as well. And I think Pete got really closely to the money here with it too. I mean, understand that human beings are very greedy, and I don't mean that in a negative, nasty way, but we all want more. We all want more money, more time, more sex, more love, more holidays, more cars. We all want more. So wherever you can tap into that greed gland, by all means, it is a much easier sell. And that links to also that hard versus soft product. Soft is much harder to sell than something that is targeted at the right audience and solves a problem for them. So, probably a number of little things I could chip in there, Mel, and probably just one other thing. Incidentally, you mentioned Julie Mason. I was only talking to her last Thursday. Her top product now is something like 12 grand. When she makes offers to people. So I mean, she's created that info biz, and she's got 3 or 4 different levels of price point, and that's not bad. You get a few sales at 12 grand, in a month, and you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'd suggest that that's her done for new product. So she sells an information product where she helps them, she teaches them LinkedIn. And then, of course, then, as Pete's pointed out, there's your done for you. So they'll pay a lot more for your done for you. And anyone that spends $12,000 with you also makes for a really good quality client. They're not time wasters. They're not after a get rich quick scheme. They're actually bona fide business people that are very serious about being successful, and they're the best ones to work with, in fact. So you made some great points, Pete, and you're dead right. Sorry, Steve. I cut John some slack in as much that it's impressive that and I happen to know he's mastered social media, and I also happen to know he's mastered, to some extent, at least I happen to know, he's mastered Facebook because he's got $300 million worth of leads for real estate agents.
They're not bad numbers.
They're not bad numbers.
They're not bad numbers. He's doing pretty damn well.
He is, so it's impressive. So I cut him some slack, but you made a great point for everyone else listening here. When I say cut him some slack, I understand how good he is at that, but I also understand the demand for it. And that is, how can I get leads on Facebook? There are any number of business people that would want to know how to do that. But another opportunity that presents itself is the opportunity to anoint others doing what you're doing. Pete and Steve will get me straight away here. But Ryan Dice is very big on anointing others now. What does he call his courses? Can anyone help me with that, Steve? Where you do his courses in being a social media expert and a Facebook expert, and then you anoint others to be you. So this is called selling your success.
Certified?
Certified, thank you.
Are they certified, yeah?
Yeah, certification. It's called certification or certified. Yeah. So what he's doing is what I did years ago and still do, is I anoint people. And what he's doing is he's anointing people, and he's putting them through a program that teaches them how to be you. So that's called selling your success to people who want it more than you do. So you've already mastered this, John. And another way to really monetize this, because it's the classic opportunity to make money, is teach people to do to be you. Not just teach people how to do this for their business, which you could make a lot of money doing, but actually how to teach people to be you, which is what Jim's Mowing does and all of those sorts of guys in history. Did you want to make a comment about that, Pete?
Mate, yeah, and just getting back to the headlines, that what Steve was saying, that's I've got 7 things I do before writing a word of copy, and that writing the headline is the 7th. So good stuff, Steve. But getting back to this, when you train people in high-end stuff, not only do they get great results and you get a great income because it's high level, like my apprenticeship's 20K, once they've finished it and get those results, they become your raving fans and everyone wants to be them. and they're constantly acknowledging you as the guy or girl at the top of the mountain that they came to learn from. So it's self-perpetuating, Mal, you know, and it really is a beautiful thing. And this is where you can really start charging the real good price points, and it just continues on and on because your students who are paid so much, they're getting great results, they will sing your praises to everyone they meet.
So Pete, you've been anointing people, and I know Steve has also. So your masterclass is 20 odd K, and it's really to be Pete. It's to be a mini Pete, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I teach them how to write, teach them how to sell, and teach them how to think. But once they've been through 6 months with me, now they've changed
Yeah.
in a good way, in a good way, and they don't think the same. But many of them, you know, a lot of people forget, but you know, many of them, they're only too happy to sing my praises and to actually brag about the fact that they've done my apprenticeship. And this is the same for my clients who do the same thing, who teach their stuff to high-end groups. Your students will brag about how much money they spend with you. I remember when I had my private wealth group all those years ago, 30K a year. It was basically you know, hang out with Pete, be Pete's friend for a year. But it was a beautiful thing. And I overheard one of my members skiting to another guy at a seminar how much he pays me per year. And I thought that was a beautiful thing, Mal.
Well, yeah, I've always enjoyed you paying me though, rather than the opposite. But I understand where you're coming from, Pete. Pete, I
I'm
want
shaking my head.
to Pete, I want to make this point if you can help me here. So you do,
All right.
and you could be writing for clients and helping clients make money. True or
Yeah,
not?
and I still do write for clients.
Correct?
Yeah,
And so could John.
yeah,
He could help clients be more successful using Facebook. Okay?
yeah,
Or you also help people become you. That is mini Pete's. And you get to charge a lot
yeah.
more for that. True or true?
Yeah, and you can do more at a time, so you make more money. Um,
So
I enjoy the fact I do both too, Mal, because I don't want to be one of those old dudes in 10 years' time that hasn't written copy for 10 years, but I'm still teaching it. So I still work for clients because I've got a couple of really good clients that I enjoy working with
yeah.
who are very, very savvy. And I enjoy the work, but I also enjoy teaching it as well. And I feel it's congruent to be current with what's going on if you're teaching it. And same with John, like he's current with social media, he's all over it. So his students are going to get absolute value. And they'll be bragging about being his student as well once he's positioned correctly.
So for all the correct reasons, he's got an opportunity to do the same thing as you. It's either to help business.
He's in a beautiful position.
Yeah, yeah, and the big money will come from certification and anointment if he goes that way,
Yeah,
without shadow of doubt. So Steve, would you
yeah,
like?
but
Sorry, Pete.
you're on, mate.
Did you want to add something, Pete?
Oh,
No, mate, I'm done. I'm cool.
Okay, Steve, did you want to add something around that subject?
oh, look, I don't know if anything new, but I mean, John's just got incredible credibility here.
Yep.
You know, that's one heck of a track record. You know, and you're both dead right. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want to be learning from him, and who wouldn't want to say, well, hey, the guy I learned from, you know, generate over 300 million. What's your guy you learned from done? You know, I mean, there's I see a whole lot of money in that, and I think to touch on it too, I mean, to teach it, it gives you a bit of variety as well. You know, not that you get stale, but you know, it just keeps you fresh. It keeps your radar up, looking for different things. So, yeah, being a doer of your thing is great, but also teaching your thing is really good too. And I think to really understand something, you have to teach it and teach it well. And you know, so it's a really nice add-on for your business,
Yeah. Well,
or your main business even.
exactly. And of course, I'm still buying and starting and selling businesses. I've just built a childcare centre. So it's very important that you remain current. And that's the point you're getting at, Steve, here, that you're current. And Pete's current because he's still writing for clients. So, you know, all this is great news for John. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, totally.
And I think we've answered his question. So I'm just going to move on to the final question there. And by the way, guys, if you'd like to share your details with everyone on the call, or maybe where they can get a free gift or something like that, feel free to do so. Ah, right, that worked. So this has come from Carl Quested, and here it is. On listening to the videos, I'm going to focus on creating a membership site. Well, we would sing the praises of membership sites, I'm sure, here. I'm looking to do a similar style to yours, your DVDs, in that they will look to record a one-day event and break this up into smaller videos, which will then record separate content in a more detailed form. How much to share as a teaser for new potential members and how much to keep as exclusive content? Well, first and foremost, Jason, if we just get you back here just in case I can call Carl in, that would be great. First and foremost, we love the idea of membership sites. And one of the major reasons, and it's a very big one, is that it gives you what we call continuity income. And I'm sure Pete will remember sitting on the edge of his seat sometime 15 years ago when I said something like, I'm going to reveal the ninth wonder of the world in marketing. And back then, no one knew or used or had pretty much heard about things like continuity income. And continuity income is simply getting paid, selling something once, but getting paid for a long period of time for that. And back in the day, the example I gave to Pete and everybody else in the room was Proactive Pimple Cream, which I had learnt was worth, if my memory serves me well, something like $2/3 billion a year, selling pimple cream that I didn't really know anyone that had pimples. But what they did was they came on TV, and in fact they went on every media, and today they're in shopping centres, which is just another media. And they said, buy my pimple cream. It's normally, you know, $39.95, but you can get it now for something like $19.95. And when you do that, we'll give you a sports bag with towels and all sorts of things, all sorts of bonuses worth far in excess of the value of the cream. And, you know, we'll send you a tube of this every 2 months for the rest of your life. And people don't cancel that stuff. They finish up with cupboards full of it, I suspect. But the bottom line is that is called continuity. And of course, then they created a situation where if you wanted to cancel, they give you a whole pile of more bonuses to stay in the program. Now, it's actually called forced continuity because you couldn't actually buy a single tube without getting the continuity. And that's why I expressed it as a wonder of the world, you know, along with compound interest. You know, it really, and it birthed the likes of membership sites that the Andrews and Daryl Grants have been building for people for years and years and years that are in these recordings and creating for themselves. And Andrew and Daryl, when they heard that, they set out to create a continuity income. And there's some people like the Ryan Dices and that don't do anything without there being continuity attached to it. And why would they do that? Well, because it's too hard to make the first sale. And it's really too hard to make additional sales. And the last thing on the planet you ever want to have to do is to resell anybody. So I hope you understand that. Steve, did you want to add something there, and then I'll ask Pete before I move on to the question? You've had your own membership site, Steve, which taught people.
Yeah, I haven't, and you know, you're dead right, Mel, in terms of how powerful that is. You know, membership sites are great because, like, you make the sale once and you do get paid over and over again until, you know, you close the membership site down, you sell the membership site, or if they happen to leave. And I mean, you know, people people do leave. You have to get used to that. The cool thing is, though, is that you do only do the work once. I mean, you've got to update it, of course, but you do all the main basic work once, and then it's almost like a self-perpetuating thing. And that is a really, really nice model to have, because it gives you, it's not completely passive, but it gives you a measure of passive income that you can have while you're running other businesses or doing other things. And if you get big enough at it, it can be your whole business. And all of us on the panel here know of in the health and beauty niche, someone who does that and has been incredibly successful on a worldwide basis for a membership site. So it is a very, very leveraged way of making money and helping people at the same time. To answer that question of how much to share as a teaser for new potential members and how much to keep as exclusive content, that's always a fine balancing act. You've still got to give them some value to get them excited enough to want to take the next step with you. There's an argument to be said, you give away some of your best stuff, and then once they see your best stuff, then they'll be more inclined to join you. So yeah, really great business model, and it can give you a great shot in the arm for your business, to leave you free to do other things either in your business or elsewhere.
Well, isn't it nice, Steve, that to know on the first of the month there's a whole pile of money coming into your account without making another sale?
Oh yeah.
And I've seen
there is a great power to that, Mel. Like a great, I don't mean that, there's a power that you get in business from that.
I mean, it is really passive income, and this is an industry that, particularly with the advent of the internet and membership sites, for example, has given us this incredible opportunity that didn't exist in the past. Thanks, Steve. Did you want to talk to that and the question too, Pete, before I go on?
Yeah, will I tell Carl how to find some hidden money in membership sites, or have we got time for that?
Absolutely. He'd be disappointed that he's made that proposition.
always concentrate on bringing them in, bringing new members in. But where a lot of smart clients have got me over the years is retention. If I can, there's certain things I do that ensure the average member will stay an extra 2 or 3 months. Now, if you've got a fair few hundred members and you can get each one to stay 2 or 3 months longer than they would have if you didn't implement some of the stuff I do, that's a lot of money, Mal. You know what I mean? So the real smart clients, yeah, they get me on the front end, but they also get me on the back end and do those little things that that make people hang around a bit longer. One big tip I will give, and I'll share this freely, especially if you're doing information membership sites. Do not overwhelm. The tendency is you'll feel like I'll just give them more and more stuff. I'll give them more and more stuff. The trouble is what happens then, and this has been proved, I've seen it dozens of times, is that you will overwhelm them. Give them enough to consume, but not more. Because once you start, if they haven't consumed last month's stuff and they get all this other stuff the next month, what happens then is they usually quit. And on a side note, just quickly, mate, on retention, I remember Kennedy said it about 15 years ago and had a big impact on me, especially when I started a business a few years ago that I left after a few years. We had four levels of memberships, hundreds and hundreds of members, and Kennedy said the best form of retention is ascension. And what he meant by that is if you had gold, VIP, and pinnacle as three levels, the sooner you could ascend them from gold to your top group, the longer that they'll stay. And I think that's a classic line, mate. The best form of retention is ascension. Now, for your lead magnets and stuff, how much should you give away? Steve touched on it. You can give them some really good stuff, but what I like to do more than that is inspire them in my freebies. I inspire them. I give them a lot of what-to information so they really feel like they got something, Mal. But they're left with a really good taste in their mouth, and whatever it is, a video or report, it's strategically written to take them to the next where you want them to be. Okay, but that's a critical element missing in a lot of lead magnets. Are boring, dry, dull. They don't inspire people. If you can inspire people, get them feeling really, really good about themselves, that's when you can then start building your tribe and then start selling them into your membership site. But that's about it, mate. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, mate, it's gold because, you know, never a truer word spoken in terms of the ascension model. To take them through some sort of process. It also shakes the tree and gets you the very best clients at the top level. And of course, it's incredible for retention. It keeps them in the program. And they are insatiable in terms of what they can consume if they're very interested in a subject. There's no end to the amount of material, your products and other people's products they'll buy anyway. So you'll find yourself endlessly creating products. So where all this is concerned, it's best if, and Pete and Steve have both articulated it, that you give them the information in, or the modules, if you like, in chunks. And it's best if you give them exercises to perform. That is some part on something on their part that they have to do to fulfill that part of the course. It also helps immensely if there's a Q&A or some component of talking to the guru or access to the guru, which also keeps them in the programs a heck of a lot longer. This program is no different to every other program where I've given, and people like yourselves, Steve and Pete, have given time with the guru or Q&A. You know, virtually no one turns up. Yet when they're in that phase of being interested or wanting to purchase, the thing that made them buy more than anything was access to the guru or access to Q&A calls. But the reality of all of this is very few turn up, and that's the case tonight. I think we've got about 6 on the call in total. Yes, we do. We have about 6 on the call in total, maybe 8. So there's a heck of a lot of people that could have been on the call that are just not on the call. Now, may not have been the best choice of day on the planet, but it's 8 o'clock on a long weekend for some parts of Australia. Sydney and Victoria or whatever, New South Wales. But however,
Mel, I'm just sorry to interrupt.
Sure, mate.
Mel, yeah, I just want to reiterate that point. It's a massive one. I mean, when you're putting your offer together and talking about the offer again, a lot of people think, well, oh God, you know, I don't have the time to be answering phone calls, responding to emails, doing a Q&A. Oh, it's just too much. But you're dead right. A small percentage, 5%, 10% tops of people, they think they want it, but they never use it. You know, so this massive thing that you think you're going to do, it doesn't eventuate. So it's a very good way, a very powerful way of building value. Of course, you still have to be there, and if you promise it, deliver it. But not that many people take it up. You know, people are busy and all those sorts of things. So don't ever let that, and when you're crafting your offer, stop you. Add it in rather than take it out, because you won't be that busy with it, guaranteed.
Yeah, good point, Steve, and it makes me want to tell the folks a story of the import-export product, which I still haven't imported and exported anything in my life, but I created a product. It took me a while to create it because I did all my research, and then I went searching for an expert, and it turns out a guy called Frank Moore was running a course at the local TAFE, and I rang up the TAFE and I said, can I speak to the gentleman that runs the importing and exporting course at the TAFE? And he said, well, he's not available, but you can ring him on this number because he works during the day. I rang the guy up and I said, hi, I'm Mal Emery, and that course that you run at night school, I think I can turn it into an information course that we can sell all over Australia. And I've got an inkling that I could probably make you more money doing that than you ever make running your night school, your courses at TAFE. Now, and I said, would you like to come to my office and meet with me to discuss that? Now, history would tell us that I paid Frank $50 for each box I sold out of about a $600 sale. I gave them, in my sales letter, I gave them Frank. You know, what do I know about importing and exporting? Less than zero. So, you know, I said to Frank, you know, I'll pay you $50. I'm going to run a seminar for 3 days and I'm going to film you teaching people what you teach them in your 7-day course. and then I'm going to turn it into an information product. But the catch is I also want you to take calls from people and help them, because it's a big tipping point for people wanting to buy the product. The fact that they can get access to the guru and access to Frank in this case. And he said, oh my God, you know, what will that look like? And I said, less than 10% of people will call you. Now, it turned out to be less than 5%. And Frank couldn't believe it. You know, we don't believe it. No one believes it. You know, why is this so? It's human nature, unfortunately. And as a consequence, you know, years later, Frank took my dearly departed wife, Polly, and I for a meal with his wife at the Cottesloe Hotel to thank us for the fact that they made more money in retirement in a camper van touring Europe in retirement, as I said, than they ever made in their working life. And by the way, you probably know the story, Pete in particular, his wife turned to me and said, Mal, I need to apologise to you. And I said, what the heck for? And she said, well, I told Frank this information marketing stuff is a load of rubbish and it'll never work, and don't listen to that Mal Emery, who she didn't even know. So they were really glad that she was really glad that Frank didn't listen to her and actually went ahead and we did a deal. And then I sold that company for $150,000, which was a lot of money back then. You know, you could buy a couple of houses with that when I sold it for that amount of money. So, and Frank went with the new business owner. So that's a classic example of what Steve was saying there, that, you know, out of Frank's mouth, he couldn't believe that people never actually bothered him or called him. And that will be exactly the same case with yourself. So back to the point of how much do you give away? Well, I'm a firm believer in you need bigger, better baits today. There's so much possibilities and opportunities for people out there. The power has shifted to the buyer like it's never shifted before. They have enormous clutter out there in the marketplace. And the more you can get to giving them the fish on a plate, if you like, cut up in bite-sized pieces in your baits, the more likely they are to partake of whatever it is you're offering. It is a balancing act, as Steve pointed out so rightfully, but I believe in over-deliver and over-promise. Some people say, you know, under-deliver and over-promise. I say over-deliver and over-promise. And they will think, I've proved it time and time again. I had a good friend of mine, John Denton, that both Steve and Pete know, in my office here on Friday because he wants to do a seminar. And one of the things that came out of John's mouth is, I don't want to give away too much. Well, you're wrong. You can never give away too much in a sense. Over-deliver and over-promise, and the more you can give away to get them involved, the better. So it is a balancing act, that's for sure. The ascension will come from the exclusivity, and that might be, you know, time with you, Carl, or whatever it might be that ascends them through the process. Guys, did you want to add anything there before we say good night to everybody? That's just under an hour.
That's about it, mate. That was a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Pete. And what about you, Steve? Did you want to share something?
Yeah, look, probably just a couple of things to finish up. You know, I think the key is to try and pull out your genius, and you will, if you're an expert in your field, you will always know more than those who want to learn you. So find a way to pull out your genius, and also I think it's important to probably stick to two things. Stick to your area of expertise and the marketing of it, and leave all that stuff that you don't know how to do to experts. So if you don't know how to do websites, leave it. If you don't know how to do product creation, you know, pay someone else to do that. Stick to your genius. That's where and the marketing of your genius, that's where the money is.
Okay, well, that's fantastic, Steve. Pete, Steve, did you want to tell the folks where they could contact you if they wanted to, or where they can get something from you, maybe a free gift or whatever?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm happy to offer everyone a free critique if they would like that. Now, if you've got a 100,000 word novel or something like that, no. But certainly an ad, a small email funnel, a piece of marketing, happy to critique that for you, complimentary, and offer you feedback. Actually, now, if I just type my email address in the chat. Does everyone see that then, Mel? Do you know? Jason, are you there? Do you know?
As far as I know, I can see what you typed in before.
Yeah, we can see what you typed in before, Steve.
Okay. So you can get me here. You can get me at that email address. Steve at Copywriting Classroom. Sorry, it's copywritingclassroomonline.com. I left out the online. Let me try that again. Oh dear, oh dear. My apologies. All right, there we go. That one will work. And like I said, I'm happy to offer a free critique to give you some feedback. Hopefully that came through okay.
Yep. You're very kind, Steve. Pete,
Yeah, it's there, buddy.
Okay.
would you like to see if you can help these?
Mate, I might just point them over to the podcast. There's over 60 shows up there that they can listen in on.
Fantastic.
It's a petegodfreyshow.com. That's what it's called, www.petegodfreyshow.com. There's over 60 episodes up. It's all free. There's no opt-in, so you can listen in. And as I said, we just talk everything persuasion, copywriting, sales, all that good stuff. So that's just petegodfreyshow.com. And that's about it.
It's worthwhile to get onto that one. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks, Steve.
Of course, I know this is going to cost me a couple of drinks sometime very soon or whatever.
At least.
At least. But I really appreciate you coming into the call. We're going to finish exactly pretty much on the 7 o'clock as promised. So I hope you folks have enjoyed it so far. And there's more to come, obviously, and I'll probably call in a few more chips, and hopefully we can get Steve and Pete back on here again to give us a hand, because they certainly made it a whole lot better than it would have been with just me on my own. So thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your help, and thank you.
Pleasure, Mel.
You're welcome. Thanks, Steve. And you know, thank you to everyone who did come on the call. Really appreciate you making the time and effort. Okay, so bye for now.